some wonderful matters of prophecy. And we're speaking about essentially that there's different ways to acquire knowledge in this world. There's a way of acquiring knowledge through basic logical systems. 2 plus 2 is 4, going through basic logical sequences. But then we're taught that there's other ways to acquire knowledge. There's other sixth sense ways of acquiring knowledge, which are ways that we could attune ourselves to through certain spiritual practices that allow us to basically download information using different levels of consciousness. That's called Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration, and very holy people get such things. That's why they could see into the future, they could predict things, they know things, they could see things about you. Then there's even a higher level than that called prophecy. Prophecy is full-blown spiritual experience that essentially you as a spiritual soul have absolute contact with spiritual existence, so much so that your body starts to freak out. And that's why the prophetic experience is described as the body essentially ceasing to function normally. Either the prophet will be sleeping or he'll go into some type of either seizure or fit, because it's like absolute spirituality encountering physicality. And at that point, the prophet's able to have their experience. But he's not like just kind of walking around in a normal function. He's trembling. Whereas, as we'll see, Mitzvah Shem, there was one prophet that was different that could have a complete spiritual prophetic experience and be totally normal, awake. And of course, that was Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. Any questions so far?
Where are we? Are we 218?
Yeah. Or 217, sorry. When God reveals himself and bestows his influence, a prophet is greatly overwhelmed. His body and all of his limbs immediately begin to tremble, and he feels as if he's being turned inside out. Kind of intense. Yes?
If, let's say, I know we don't have direct prophecy now, but let's say we were to have a really holy friend who's a really righteous person who seems like they could be a good candidate to be a prophet, and this is at a time that, we do have access to prophecy. If they are having like a seizure or a fit, should we seek medical help or let them just
No, definitely seek medical help. Definitely seek medical help. Even for a prophet, you have to take care of them, meaning if they're seizing, you should certainly make sure, support the head, make sure they're safe. That's pashut and obvious. Yes?
I don't get what the difference is between like prophecy and the idea of how we say sometimes some tzaddikim can look at your forehead and say everything about you and say, you should make this decision, that decision. I don't get what the difference is.
So the difference is like this, is that Ruach HaKodesh is that they're getting regular information from things that could be understood in this world, but in a supernatural way. So a tzaddik could know something. Could I know something about your past? Let's say we grew up together. That's content and information that I could know. I could know that you were part of this business and you made a deal with this person and that you grew up on this street and in this part of LA. So I could know those things. But if I never met you and I knew those things, so that would be supernatural. The content is natural information, but it's seen in a supernatural way. And that could even kind of blur into supernatural information, where he tells you things about your future, not only things that are natural information in a supernatural way. The higher the Ruach HaKodesh is, he can see things in more supernatural content. Prophecy, though, is 100% supernatural. You're completely encountering not natural information anymore. You're encountering a experience 100% with the glory of God, which is infinite conscious light. That experience is so powerful that your physical senses, your 5 senses, cease to function normally. Only Moshe Rabbeinu was able to have such a level of prophecy that he could experience that level of infinite light consciousness while still remaining a human being. So now the Rebbe says a little further This, however, is the nature of the physical, cannot tolerate the revelation of the spiritual. And this is particularly true when it consists of the revelation of God's own glory. The prophet's senses cease to operate. His mental faculties can no longer function independently. Meaning on a regular day, when you go to work and you're trading stocks or whatever you're doing, selling real estate, so you're using normal mental faculties in order to make those decisions. You're using your brain, you're using your thought processes, you're using different relationships in your network. The prophetic experience completely supersedes that part of you. They have all become dependent on God and the influx that is being bestowed. Meaning, you're overtaken by the prophetic experience. You can't think in a regular way. As a result of this attachment of the soul, now this is important, is that your soul is experiencing this very clear communication from God. It gains a degree of enlightenment completely beyond the powers of human reason. You're way beyond anything if you're the smartest guy at the firm, and therefore you would say, I'm a pretty impressive guy. I know everything about trading. So the prophetic experience eclipses the smartest trader ever. It's a different category of experience. It's no longer in the regular realm of just being a smart person. If Einstein was a prophet, he would have been eclipsed. He would have thought, this is nothing that I ever experienced in all of my investigations of just using regular human reasoning. This enlightenment does not come to it because of its own nature, but as a consequence of the fact that the highest root is bound to it. That's very beautiful. It's that my soul is naturally connected to the powers of prophecy. We just cut off the connection. The antenna's been dulled. The soul therefore perceives things in a much higher manner than it could ever attain by itself. Meaning my soul is connected all the way up. The prophetic experience is now giving me contact with what things look like up there. One who has attained the level of prophecy is on a higher level than one who has attained divine inspiration, Ruach HaKodesh, even with respect to his grasp of knowledge. This is because prophecy brings man the greatest degree of enlightenment that is possible for him, because when he has attained prophecy, he has attained the highest possible level of attachment to God himself, which means, what is the goal? You're like, I'm going to yeshiva. So she's like, what are you trying to accomplish there? So what's the real answer? I'm saying if we're really being real. The real answer is prophecy. That's the most honest answer. Okay, I'm saying, she's like, are you nuts? Just go back to... That's right, for sure. But between us, if we're really being honest with each other, that is the penultimate goal, is that we're trying to all become prophets. And I'll tell you, the introduction to the great book it's called Hachsharas Avrechem, from the Piasetzner Rebbe, the great rabbi, the Piasetzner, who was killed in the Holocaust, and his manuscripts were found years later, buried in the Warsaw Ghetto. He writes in the introduction to one of his great books it's called Hachsharas Avrechem, basically making Jews real and authentic. He writes there that he says that really, I'm just teaching you the teachings of the great teacher, the Baal Shem Tov, the Holy Baal Shem Tov. And really, the Holy Baal Shem Tov, his mission in coming to the world was to bring back the schools of prophets. He was not here to bring something new to the world. He was really here to connect us with something old and ancient that had been lost. And therefore, the people that are really connected to the way of the Baal Shem Tov, it's us looking and chasing the prophetic experience. Once again, so I'm just saying it straight. That really is deep down why we're here. On a lower level, I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good member of society. Well, you know who the best members of society will be? Prophets. They'll be the highest level human beings. I want to be somebody that cares, that does all the mitzvahs. Yeah, the prophet will be the ultimate expression of that. So that's why if somebody asks you, don't tell your mother you're trying to become a prophet, then she'll definitely be concerned and send you right back. But between you and I, that is the truth of why we're here. And that's going to be a journey that's going to culminate when Mashiach comes, is that we're going to be on that mission together, achieving prophecy.
And we will achieve it.
Yes. So great days are coming, my friends.
Without the Caesars?
That's a good question. I don't think it's going to be as severe, because when Mashiach comes, the revelation, our vessels are going to be so clear and so powerful that we're going to be able to handle that amount of light. But that will be like Moshe Rabbeinu? No, he's going to be the greatest prophet ever. Like Moshe. Nobody was like Moshe before, and nobody's like Moshe afterwards. As we're going to see more about Moshe's prophecy. Yes.
There's this like description of prophecy that the Rambam brings. Is it seems to, like, I don't want to say parallel, but there's some similarities in, I guess, the felt experience of probably somebody who uses like psychedelic drugs or something.
I was waiting for people to talk about that.
Yeah, feel free to not go down the rabbit hole.
Books on this.
I don't know. I've never done psychedelic drugs, but like people say, like they
Asking
feel
for a
inside
friend.
out. Yeah. No. Like I'm afraid. I don't want to do. I don't want to touch drugs, but I heard it's like, there's like some sort of parallel, or I've heard stories like people on really hard drugs, like about to die, sometimes they do get a glimpse into the future. They see like a movie screen of what's going to
The
happen.
whole life being played in front of them.
Or they get a voice. You will die. In 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. That something will tell them. It's very interesting. It seems to be like a earthly parallel. Right?
So it's interesting is that
Yeah.
the prophetic experience, while there seem to be certain similarities between a psychedelic experience, there is one very, very important difference between the two. And the difference between the two is that the psychedelic experience is like a gift. It's easy. You put a tab on your tongue, and you wait a minute or two, and things start happening. The prophetic experience is a lifetime of personal, inner, deep transformatory work of becoming a kinder person, a more loving father, somebody who spends time with his kids and not his job, somebody who really is there for the community, somebody who works on his anger, his patience, all the qualities we saw from the Rambam that you need to be a prophet, which is, we're talking about real work. A happy person, a prophet has to be working on happiness all the time. He cannot be a sad person. Prophecy will not come to a sad person. So the happiness and the work and the human being who achieves prophecy has really earned it, and he owns it. It's his because he worked for it. Everybody knows if something is given, it's not really yours. Whereas the psychedelic experience is this free gift. Now, this interesting to note is that the Zohar says, Meltzer was talking about the Zohar, this is the theme today, is that the Zohar says that there's a certain word that the dark side uses. And once you hear this word, you could be sure the dark side is lurking. There's got to be certain klipa, there's got to be certain powers of the dark side very close when he uses this word, and this word is the thing that will pull you, and therefore an alarm bell should go off on your mind when you see this word, and of course the word is free. It's a free credit card. I promise there's no strings attached.
The Zohar says this?
The Zohar, it's free. The dark side always wants to give you things for free. It's free. It's free. It's free. Where do I sign? Oh, sign. Free. It loves giving you things for free. Because when something is for free, there's strings attached. Because there's no free ride. If something is free, if you didn't work for it, it means I'm taking something back for this. That's the way the dark side works. Free. So here, I'm concerned if things are too much for free. That's my first look at the story. Mm-hmm. And that where prophecy is so much inner work. But it's so much harder, Rabbi. It would be much easier if we just all got high. I hear that, but it's free. You might want to be careful. Now, if you tell me that it's being used in a medically supervised, therapeutic way where work went into it in preparation, well, maybe it's not free anymore. So maybe there's what to talk about. But the first step that I'm concerned with is people like free things. And because of that, I think they spin out of control on their free things.
So is this a universal principle? Because, in Yiddishkeit, we're really into tzedakah, Purim, we're going to be not only giving gifts to the poor, we're also going to be giving free food items to friends and acquaintances, and there are different outreach groups like Olami that offer free sushi nights and free, trips and food and things like this, and young Jewish professional groups that also do similar things that, they offer free things so you can do holy things, not to lure you down.
Very good. So no, it doesn't have to be only the Yetzer Hara, but the Yetzer Hara loves free. It loves free. It loves stimulus checks. It loves free handouts. It loves that stuff. You never read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? That's the best finance book probably ever written. Okay, what's Rich Dad all about? Essentially hard work. He's the hustler. He always wants to earn something. What's Poor Dad? He's stimulus check guy. He's always just looking for a payout. He wants things for free. He's always a victim. He's always looking for the government to give him some money. It's got to be free. And that type of dad, so to speak, doesn't go well. The rich dad is filled with life and vibrancy and heart. He's the prophetic lahavdil dad. He's the one that's on a mission of let's make a move, let's do something, let's work on things. He's entrepreneurial in his spirit. Oftentimes the drug-associated world is not this very vibrant, entrepreneurial energy. There could be some exceptions. But I would advise you to take the path of the prophets, which is a lot of hard work, but in the end it'll be yours. In the end it'll be yours. And also sometimes after a psychedelic experience, a person's has a big down, because I might have seen things, but I didn't work for it, so where am I now? It can leave a person very confused. So maybe I have to do it again. Maybe yes, maybe no. It can be very difficult to navigate, especially if a person doesn't have guidance, how to move forward after that experience. So says the Ramchal, back into the prophetic experience, the revelation of God's glory is what gives rise to all that is contained in a prophetic experience. The revelation working upon the power of imagination in the prophet's soul. This is called the koyach hadimayon, that inside the mind of the prophet, the prophetic experience is landing, leading to images of the concepts forced upon it by the power of the revelation. The imagination, however, does not initiate anything on its own. It's that this organ we have, this is a way of understanding rationally where the prophetic experience is happening. We have an organ that allows, the koyach hadimoy, maybe the pineal gland, that allows for a experience to occur. So in normal situations, either our pineal gland is working or it's calcified or whatever's going on, but we have lower areas where imagination is happening. But it's like a vessel, just like your eyeball. Your eyeball is the perfect vessel that allows for vision. Your eyeball is not vision. There's an eyeball, and then there's vision. Vision, though, can stick to eyeballs. The eyeball is like the perfect vessel that allows, like a mechanism. If I want to have a light, okay, I want to light up this room. So what would be a good vessel to bring light? So I need electricity. That's going to be the stuff. But then what should that electricity go into? Why don't I put this can of soda up there and see what happens? Is that a good light bulb? Or what if I put a microphone? I just stick it to the electricity. No, I need a light bulb. That's the vessel that allows for light. If I want to record something, I can't do it with a soda bottle. I need a machine that's a vessel for recording. So too, if I want to see things, I need eyeballs. If I want to hear things, I need ears. If I want to have prophetic experiences, I need the prophetic pineal gland. I need to have a physical thing that can be the correct vessel for an experience to happen in it. And Hashem gave us that. These images in turn convey to the prophet ideas and information whose conception comes from the power of the revealed glory. The subject remains fixed in the prophet's mind, and when he returns to his normal state, this knowledge is retained with perfect clarity. This is the idea of prophecy in general. There are many degrees. However, as we shall discuss presently, the highest level of all was that of Moshe, the greatest prophet. Like it says, "V'lo kam navi oid b'Yisrael k'Moshe." There will never be another prophet like Moshe. Asher yodu Hashem ponim el ponim, who knew God face to face. Now, interesting, the next chapter, we're going to go into the prophetic experience even more, which is amazing. And then after that, he actually spends a long time in the prophetic experience. And then we're going to contrast that experience to Moshe as a prophet. Once we finish that, we'll have finished our whole section on prophecy. And then we're going to go continuing in the Rambam's 13 principles, going into the authenticity of our Torah. That it will never be switched for any other Torah. There will never be another version. That our Torah will be eternal. From the time that it was given for all time until this very day, into the days of Mashiach and into the world to come. We should be Zeicha Mamish to see Mashiach soon and have the Torah Mashiach, which is the Torah of Atik Yoimin. We should be Zeicha Mamish to have the Bin Beis HaMikdash B'mehera V'Yeminu. Amen.
Amen.
Have a wonderful day, my friends.